And welcome back to the LCO playoffs for day number 1 of all the action, as we are well underway with this initial best of 3 here in the upper bracket, where teams do get a second lifeline to drop down and run it back essentially here, Tally. And I think that really does take on more meanings than one on this occasion, because I need to run it back in this series to make sure that there's a fighting chance for a game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that now we are seeing Ground Zero on both sides, there is this big tell where they are banning Rumble on both sides. So to me, that means that Shorenfire wants to be the sole AP player no matter what, and they do not want to verse the champ in the top lane. So this is a champ that will consistently be banned by Ground Zero on both sides. So teams who are seeing this are potential adversaries of Ground Zero going forward can take that away some information in their drafts.
Certainly a nice little bit of information, right, to work with and say, how can we adjust around this as a result? And as long as the meta stays this way, then I don't think we're going to really change away from this idea of the AP player being this absolute titan that gets it done in a 1v9 fashion. But we certainly have had a few AD junglers run right in the past. Let's see then, as deliberation here from the side of Ground Zero, which in the end actually decides, you know what, we don't want to allow you to have that first pick, Ezreal.
So it is being denied away from Styx, which I think is a pretty smart thing to do for the team. But they might just go for this trade against Gimme. And if it is going to be that Zyra Karthus trade, I have to talk about, support itemization, because so many times we see, Warmogs as an item being, auto-built no matter what you're versing. And I think that if anyone watched the Freak patch rundown, it was so important to mention that champs who are front-loaded, like Kennen, like some control mages, like Karthus, lock it 900 gold cheaper than Warmogs, get that AoE shield in your team. So, you're not going to have no item until like the 22, 23 minute mark in the game, because you just aren't getting gold in competitive as a support, compared to solo queue where there is so many kills happening. So it is always so important to go for those cheaper options, go for the more consistent items, and be stronger in these games.
That certainly is, Tally. That is very, very true. And it's interesting, right? Because we do still have that exact same jungle matchup, but it's the handshake on the other side now, where Fido gets a chance to play the Tristana, whereas Jovi is now on Corki duty. They've opened up also with the Renekton as well, right? So want to be as aggressive as they can, which I don't mind too much. I am curious, though, with this being picked so early, just how much protection needs to be afforded towards it, because they did miss that third ban, most importantly, right? They've only been able to ban away 2 junglers, still prioritizing Shorenfire amongst everything else. So the second rotation of bans is going to be very interesting to dissect.
I understand the Renekton pick from Ion Skimmy. They're very worried about Ground Zero going for that third pick Camille paired up with the Karthus, and they're not having a response with the 2 blanket protection bans going towards Tien on the top side. So they pre-pick Renekton to deny the Camille pick on the top side. So going to be a different pick coming out of Tien later on the draft. It could be the Poppy that we were talking about in game 1, but they have a lot more aggression on the top side this time from the Ion. But they have swapped that mid lane matchup, which I think is the most important, because I think this is Corki favored in the early game. Using that Gatling gun to auto space is so important. So I have to see if he's going to be able to do that one into Fido. Can Jovi have that same impact this time? Because he does not have that range problem, and we see the Volibear locked in. See what I mean? There
is the Volibear. You love to see it. You absolutely do, right? Tien, not one to shy away from these crazy picks. I'm just basically saying, you know what? Maybe even myself, I'm bored of playing Poppy and then a bit of Camille, and then Poppy again. It's time to showcase that I can play a little bit of everything. And you just need to force my hand to make it all happen. We did joke a little bit about the potential for a Jhin to give yourself that extra bit of range, to almost act like a pseudo Karthus in a way, right? To get the kill from afar. But there it is.
They're straight up just listening to us. So there's going to be no range problems into the Karthus this time. They do have, well, I would say they have the range advantage, especially with Zyra Corki already. So there's going to be diving from the enemy team onto them. So maybe this time they could have gone for a different AD carry, but it is the Jhin Skivvy. I do like Styx on this champion. I think that he is, very good at enabling players in his teams. But I'm very, very scared when I look at the other side team and I see Kurak on that Leona. And what he was able to do last time we saw him play this champ, he just has an aura about him. He's just radiating engage on me. And we saw how well it went for teams last time.
That's exactly right. I mean, there's something about it, no matter what the skin choice is, there's this big beacon on his head like, oh, get me, I'm just a lonely support that's underfarmed and underleveled. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, wait, I've just turned it around, the power of the sun, and suddenly I'm now, anime levels of just overpowered. It's crazy. And I like the fact that they've got a Kaiser to round it all out and sort of give them that flair, that mechanical prowess that we know that Lemus is so attuned with, because that game 1 on the the game 1 on the Lemus, the game 1 on Ezreal, he showed why he's got so many, great compliments coming into Split 2.
Yeah, and do talk about Lemus being this really, really extraordinary player and just being able to play so many different champions. But I also really like Ground Zero recognize, we're outranged in draft. if we're going to die, we're going to commit to it as much as possible. They have the Volibear flank, they have Leona engaged, they have the Killer Instinct coming out of Limus. So they have so many different threats, but they also have the side lane ability from the champions. And I'm really curious to what Tien's going to build this game, because there is one Volibear build that comes to mind for me, and it's that, you know, Jack of all trades. You know, you've seen that Rod of Ages, the Navori, or the Blades. Got the item, but it's just a lot of cooldown on his abilities, Skimmy, and
Yes.
he's just such a good duelist when it comes to it.
You just get to chomp all day, right? You're just healing for days because the stack in the mark is always there. The thunder comes down. Look, I've played my few ARAM games and I've dabbled a little bit of AP Volibear in the past, and I think that makes me qualified then to talk about this in great detail. But all of that aside, let's talk about stakes on the cards right now. It is a 1-0 lead in favor of Ground Zero. Your reigning champions looking to make it a clean 2-0 sweep to put them through already into a PCS qualifying match. As for Ion, they need to run it back now on the blue side, which they elected for to bring it to that game 3. Otherwise, they'll drop down into the lower bracket and they'll have a rematch up against the Direwolves.
Yeah, and while this is going to be a lot more of a stable early game, there still is that level 1 advantage for the Ground Zero side. Volibear is a really, really strong topside champ. If they do want to invade onto that blue buff, level 1, Karthus Volibear will win that 2v2 against the Renekton Zyra, but if there's going to be that bot side invade, could be a bit more, you know, of an even trade, but I'm still going to give it to the Karthus again. And is this going to be another invade coming out of Ground Zero, because they're playing so aggressive all over the map right now?
So aggressive and not grouped up. That's the big tell, right? It's the fact that they are fanned out as 5, but they're not afraid whatsoever. They really are saying, what are you going to do? Like, we're in your face. I doubt you're going to make anything happen as a result of this one. Keurig just standing his ground. And Limus then forced to respond. But look, we like this from Ion this time around. They've actually got the protection, they've got the scouting, they've got the insight to make sure that Coley shouldn't have the same fate as game 1.
Yeah, and this might just be that flip level 1. Shenfire does spawn him on the chickens, but he's going to run back to his own blue buff. So deciding not to go for that invade, they just want to do a bit of scouting, make sure they know where he starts. Going to be that chicken start, so he recognizes where it is. He's going to know that this camp will be the first 2 respawn from the enemy. So if this is that full clear, might be able to find out that respawn after the crab and pick himself up an extra camp.
Well, let's see then how life does fare out for these top laners. No doubt both got a bit of healing built into their kits, and the push is certainly going to be able to favor that of the Volibear with that passive lightning. And that really was the story all of game 1, right? Doraemon stuck underneath his tower. You can't really afford to have that same fate as a Renekton. You want to be aggressive, you want to be linking up and given a chance to try and roam elsewhere.
Yeah, and we do see the Q start coming out of the Volibear, Skimmy, so not something usually you see out of the Volibear. You usually see the E or the W just as you do have the extra bit of trading power in the early game, but head up with the press the attack, that is an auto reset, so he can afford himself that reset. But what a nice engage from Kurak, proccing the passive from the oh, actually not proccing the passive from the Kai, so auto cancel from Limus there. Would have been a lot of damage going over the stick stand. It could have been a potential dive angle for them.
And given how low he is, even without that extra auto, it's a bit of a grim tale. But I tell you what, Jovi really is on one today, isn't he? It doesn't matter what the matchup is. Says, look, I'll show you how to navigate it from the Corki side. And has already put Fido dangerously down low, chugging through the potion. It's going to sidestep that Phosphorus Bomb and not fall low. Oh, hang on a minute. Is he going to die to tower?
He's dead.
Wow, I do not believe it. That's such a huge blunder. And it just shows you just how slim these margins are. Congrats. Big first blood there for Ground Zero.
We do see Shenfire going for the invade though. Coley is on the side, but at the end can find him out with that flash.
He certainly can. He turns it around. Flash to be burnt. Flash to follow. And Shenfire lays waste to him, as well as that camp to deny that blue buff one more time. Jovi in with a fresh reset with that TP says, I'll be yoinking that. Thank you so much for the double buff transfer.
And mid lane is saved. Thank you, base Shenfire, for saving the mid lane for Ion. Going to be able to get back into the lane with the blue buff there.
Oh, nicely done there by Keurig, who tried to be a little bit cute and clever to try and turn it back onto sticks despite him being pounced upon initially. It seems as if actually Ion are showing a bit of restraint here as they will jump in again. And make sure that this Leona, you know, continues to be as tanky as she is, but you're wondering how Keurig's gotten away with that one.
What did I just watch? I just saw like a 200 health Leona running at a full health Rel, forcing him to flash away. Keurig doing a bit of staunching, and there is the jungler from Island coming to the bot side, but Shun is reacting himself, so Coley with no flash could be caught out here.
Nice Hex Flash to get away to safety, it seems, as there is the Deadly Flourish to lock him in place with a nice little root, and then Limus snipes him away with that Void Seeker. Styx thinks, we should have got this kill, boys. How's it gone so against us as the explosive shot gets planted on his head? It's not going to be lethal, it's going to be dangerously low, so he flashes forward, but Styx can't find it. The Deadly Flourish was such a long cast time, and this is a disaster in the first 4 minutes.
This is an absolute disaster, and this is what we thought we would see coming out of that Game 1 performance from Ground Zero. They have a lot more priority this game. They have a lot more volatility, a lot more aggression, thanks to Leona, thanks to the Tristana in the mid lane. So Ground Zero, this team who is so good at mid game, so good at macro, completely taking over the early game, because they really create this volatility that Ion on the Zyra does not want to be participating in.
No, I mean, it all starts off beautifully done there by Limis. Once again, Kirat continues to bait. Doesn't matter what his HP is. It's just a sign that we need to go in. And in the response, the rotate just a little bit better from Ground Zero. And they get to pick up literally everything. And we speak about Kirat being deployed. He knows no bounds. He's always in a position to shine.
Pretty much any time you do not need to be bot lane as a support, you never be bot lane, right? The only time you really want to be in lane is to absorb experience plus, make sure your AD carry doesn't get doped. But the rest of the time, you want to be running around the map. You want to be attacking, you want to be ganking, you want to be participating as the second jungler. But we're seeing aggression onto the top side. The flash going down means next time Tien can find the solo kill, especially when he has access to that ult and can disable the tower.
Yeah, that Thundercloud's a little bit too scary, and Doraemon taking no chances whatsoever. But this makes it very scary as a whole for the entirety of Ion, because now nobody has a flash. It makes it so easy for these ganks to work against them, and that's exactly what Schoenfire's hunting for right now. He's not level 6, but that Wall of Pain will just simply be enough.
Minion.
Slice and Dice is your only get-out-of-jail-free card, and as he jumps in for the one slice, the Dice into the Dominus. That might be enough of an HP buffer to say there's no kill threat anymore. The layaway's just out of range. Would drop a nuke on his head with the Stormbringer, and it actually goes against him. Somehow Tien falls away, and Doraemon says, I can bait these fights out just as well as you can. A fight also taking place bot lane in a straight 2v2, and then Doraemon says, I want to get something, and that he certainly does.
What a play from Doraemon. I did mention he was 1 minion away from that 6, got the Dominus, kites that one out perfectly, dodges the Skittles as well. It's just the one thing you can do to outplay that Karth is, a lot of his damage can be avoided. So Coley does rock up, counter ganks, picks himself up for the kill, and now, there is that bridge in the early game that they have been able to band-aid Ion back in at Skimmy.
That they certainly are, and whilst we look at the spot lane and two supports is saying, look, I'm in a bush, you're in a bush. Look at us, we're both trying to go back to base, but neither of us will let that happen. So both AD carries come back in, and I think all things considered, Styx done a pretty good job actually to be down 2 deaths, but still be ahead in CS.
Yeah, this is just really thanks to what the wave state was like, but we will go into that 2v2 and see. More than likely, this was the aggression coming out of Ground Zero, but with the minion wave, with the fact that all the CC lands onto Limis, there is going to be that trade coming out, and you would always favor the carry, getting that trade, especially the fact that Limis was the one to pick up that kill there and not Styx.
Yeah, another kill going away for Hexflash. Unfortunately, does mean that the Kai'Sa is going to be just a fraction more accelerated if given the chance. Once again, down comes the Thundercloud, gets that shield and makes sure that Doraemon is forced to back underneath that tower to safety, and it just gives all this freedom again for Ground Zero to play their style. They've done all split long. Let me go topside, let me grab these grubs, and it's just business as usual.
Yep, and just creating volatility all over the map while letting Schoenfire to just, full clear, invade with the priority that they create through these individual leads. Using that Requiem to find any ults on the side. If Limis does want to go for that killer instinct, there is no barrier onto Styx, so that would have potentially been a kill angle with the Requiem there, but the ult coming out, giving me a bit of poke. Not going to be able to find Styx there, so not really sure what that one was. Maybe a bit of a base cancel, creating some tempo. Not such a bad idea, because he's going to miss a lot of experience. But Tien. Fine.
Maybe it's just worked out in more ways than one, because you'd have thought initially it was going to be a kill towards the bot side, finds it in the top onto Doraemon, then they use that as a sign to be aggressive and actually bully Iron completely out of the river and say, if you want your strong win condition of the dragon, it's just not going to happen.
Skimmy, I've just clocked the inventory. I see Merc treads on Coley. They're in his head. They're really in his head with the amount of aggression going on to him. He's sick of being caught out of position. He's sick of being locked up in CC. So a champ like Zyra, who is so reliant on percent penetration or flat penetration, because Zyra's damage does not rely upon, big AP items, but the aggression coming out from Doraemon responded in tandem with the, Requiem, and the fact that Tien is just such a strong champ on the volley there with the flash advantage that he has, finds that easy kill.
Yeah, look at that shield and the chomp though. Actually the difference maker there, literally GCD perfect. You love to see it. Out comes the cleanse, the Strangleform's being flashed out of, but where do you go now, Limis? Left, right, good night, not to be found! And he concedes it by going for the minion wave instead. That really feels bad. They certainly needed that one, and they might still find it. As the Deadly Flourish lands, and Styx gets the clean blow this time. Underneath the tower though, Schoenfire stands, and he delivers, and takes down Hexflash in due process.
more kill trades being in favor of Ion though. So, you know, that kill does go towards Six this time. And I think that really important thing to mention though, Skimmy, is the fact that both solo AP members from each team in the Karthus and the Zyra, we look at the inventories, this is going to be a completed item for Schoenfire on that base, whereas, you know, look at Colley's Merc Treads and components. He's just not going to be doing the damage he needs to get through this strong frontline, especially this Leona.
Yeah, as you say, it's a really good point that, you know, Zyra to be this defensive speaks volumes as to the insight as to where the team is at right now, where their head's at, and what they're thinking as to their way back into this game. And there's no denying that Jovi's been on one this game. He's been really bringing the pain to Fido, but it's these other lanes that are struggling. Just, it feels like they're just getting outclassed, simply.
Yeah, this is just the strength of this side. But Colley going for another gank, does have those 2-2 boots, so he's very fast. There is the ult from Tien, so he can, you know, escape this one if he really wants to blow that cooldown.
He doesn't. He stands true and says, I have no flash. I can just literally ring the sirens. It's the standard police. We're on. We're out. And we're safe for the meantime. Fido flashing into a bush. Is that his demise? He gets the backup from the volley bear. He's got Schoenfire now hot in pursuit as well. But Jovi all-ins like an absolute madman. Takes down a Tristana. Looks for a second and he gets himself the double. Inside all of that pain and pressure, he does eventually fall down to what is going to be a triple kill. Merc treads on it. It doesn't matter.
That extra bit of magic resist I thought would have been a difference, but Schoenfire already so fed, has that first item completed, paired it up with the Dark Harvest, gonna be able to find that kill on the Colley. So even though he does have a defensive item in the inventory, it really doesn't matter. And one item being completed already for, you know, the Volibear, the Karthus, the Kai'Sa. Look at the other side, Skimmy. We're not seeing items being completed yet, and there's gonna be a lot more aggression continuing to happen.
Yeah, it really is a Black Cleaver from Renekton and a Dream at this point. Just so many components dispersed across the side of Ion, and it's a worrying sign, right? Because we've talked at great lengths as to, you know, how do you look to try and beat Grand Zero? A very well-drilled team, incredibly disciplined, understanding of what needs to be done. And it has always been a case of make sure you bring some pressure to them in the early game, so that in the mid game is not this classic, oh, what by 5k, you know, we just automatically win as a result from scaling. So it's interesting to see. And much like we kind of anticipated going into a series, right? Game 1 is the tester, but game 2 is like, okay, we know what you're about, we know what your game plan is. They've not been able to find a single dragon, and they're being denied on multiple fronts now.
Yeah, but this might be what they thought was the main issue with Game 1, right? Because they put a lot of effort into getting those objectives, but, you know, you don't really get a lot of gold out of these dragons until you get that soul point, right? You do get some stats from the initial dragons. Not really going to be the same when you compare that to, you know, getting multiple waves, getting these inner towers, you know, getting like 1,000 gold in the pockets of your side lanes. So a lot more priority going towards just being lane focused this time, and I think that is having a better look for Ion. The early game was looking quite bad for them, but right now, you know, with all these skirmishes happening, with these trades that keep happening, volatility happening all over the map is what they talked about in that interview that they really need to do to be able to create gaps in the armor.
But I tell you what, though, I'm terrified of this Volibear build. As you mentioned, the Rod of Ages picked up first, the Flicker Blade looking like the second pickup thereafter, and then you just got so much damage of all that CDR that you wonder, how do we shut this Volibear down at all? Forget that for a second, because out comes the Solar Flare. As Kurak just goes for a wide roam to see what he can find there.
And no matter the bot lane states, Kurak just always looks so scary on this Leona. He always is aggressive. I've never seen him play back or, you know, concede priority. He's always making sure he is going in. But, you know, the main scare point for for Ion this game is Schoenfire on this Karthus right now. I haven't seen him play this one the entire split. You know, this is the nerf patch, right? Karthus did receive that Q nerf on 14-13. Schoenfire mentioned how he did not really like the clear speed of this champion, but this is a champ who can completely take over the early game because he is a mage who is really aggressive and really strong in the early game. So this might be a better fit for Schoenfire in these games because he can play the scaling mage who is really strong in the early game and can take over fights just like this one.
Like you mentioned, also might be a sign that you don't need to ban me because I have so many different champions in my arsenal. All these AP mages, they're going to feel the same for me, but in goes Hexflash with that 2-man Megastorm combo beautifully with the 3-man knockup from the Zyra. And surely this is what Iron have been hunting for all 12 minutes long. They've equaled the kills at 11-11, and they've taken down 2 in the process.
That was a very strange look, Skimmy. We normally see Ground Zero group up and be ready to engage or to deal with those engages, but it felt like that time they were completely caught off guard. They did get all 6 of the grubs though, so that is the consultation prize for them, but the fact that they just got not even like caught out of position by Hexflash there, but he walked up and engaged on them, found 2 crucial members and paired it up with the Phosphorus Bomb. Corki does so much damage this early game. Gonna be able to get that Triforce on his recall. This is the first dragon going over to that side as well, so a little bit of the, they're buying themselves some time to scale, deny the enemy getting that soul point, but we do go on the replay, Skimmy, and this is just the straight walk up from Hex Flash into an engage. Wasn't even a flash coming out of him, so very surprising that this wasn't, the usual ground zero we see.
Yeah, it just felt a little bit too simple, to put it bluntly there, as, well, that one also, I suppose, as we come out of the replay. And Tien, yet again, has found himself amongst the headlines. That's kill number 7 for the solo AP Karthus, and certainly a series for Schönfire to mark his authority in that position.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be first tower going over to the end. 5 plates picked up as well. Huge amount of money going to his pocket. He's going to be able to build towards those flicker blades that we keep talking, about being this big item on the volley bear, or maybe this is competitive, right, Skimmy? So maybe he's going to go for a more simple build, a more team fight focused frontline build. Might not see that really strong duelist build that is much more proficient in solo queue, but I'm really curious to see what he's going to go for.
Absolutely. I mean, he has the most gold in the game, as rather Schönfire, I should say, has the most gold in the game, and Jovi still trying his absolute hardest to bring his team across the finishing line here. You can see in back-to-back games, set in second, really doing all his team can ask of him. But it's that invitation to say, when do we feel strong enough to group up as 5? Because as we went into that pause, it was the case of them lagging behind a full item into their counterparts of Ground Zero. And as the turret plates fall on down, it's a 2,500 gold lead in favor of Ground Zero. So certainly a big margin, even by their standards, despite what their record standards have been during the regular season. It's a case of, okay, what is Ion's next game plan? Is it we need to contest this Herald? Because they completely forgot about it in game 1, it felt.
I think that Herald's is it's quite an overrated objective when the tower plates do fall down, Skimmy. It is nice to break open the mid tower though, making the map more volatile for the enemy team, and the fact they can't walk up so far mid lane is always nice, right? But overextending and forcing and losing side lane is never worth it. But TP's coming out, Jovi being aggressive on mid lane.
Fido TP's into mid wave on that ward, instantly jumps into Jovi's head. Buster shots him into the team and acts like a mid lane Lee Sin. You absolutely love to see that one, but in we go then. Drop the curtain, go for the kill. Instantly gets interrupted. There's only one shot getting fired there, but in comes Tien, dropping the thunder, claiming 1, and completely zoning the backline here of Ion. They can't stand up, they can't do the damage, and they can look at Limus, but that's about it.
Stick's doing so much damage here, no one can really get onto him, and he's just able to shoot and do so much from the backline here, but the main threat of Ion taken out straight away. Skimmy Jovi didn't have Flash or Valkyrie because he was playing a bit too aggressive there. Really nice TP from Fido, but this is the disconnect that we talked about in the mid game, right? It's Jovi being by himself on the mid wave where the rest of his team is in that river being aggressive, and there's no one who can really back him up here, whereas, Ground Zero has that initial collapse first because they have control of the river, and they find that pick onto that main member of Ion, and from this point, it is so hard to build, especially when that main engage is blown onto a Karthus, who is quite happy to die in these fights.
Yeah, it certainly is to be the case, right? Nice stun to lock down the Jhin at the start of that one to make sure that he couldn't play complete cleanup crew. Here goes Jovi that once again says, you know what, maybe my time to shine against the bear, and he claims it. Also cops a Requiem, and he just shrugs it off.
Okay, beating the volley on the side lane. Never mind, hold my point, Skimmy. We're going in mid lane.
We are going in again. There is that killer instinct, true to its name and its fashion. Gets the job done, takes out Sticks for 20 seconds. And even with that lock, it just did not prove to be enough. Fido now looking at the stragglers, looks at Coley and says the explosive bomb is ticking, but it's not enough.
Giving a lot of respect to Jovi there. If he did continue to chase in the fog of war and got hit by those roots, it's going to be a kill going into Jovi. So got his 2 kills that he wanted, going to walk in, clear up that wave. So very nice by Fido. I think this is the Fido that we're really used to seeing, right? Not such an insane laner, not a player who's known for taking over games from a laning base, but he's someone who is so good in team fights and is so good in the mid game. I think his positioning, his prowess when it comes to the side lanes, when it comes to team fighting, is probably one of the best in the league right now.
Seems that way, doesn't it? And long may it continue, because it makes for a very entertaining match, that is for sure. You can already see, and much like we anticipated, right, there will be that Flicker Blade, so no need to try and adjust what would be a very solo queue style of gameplay when it works so well for them. Nicely done then, Schönfire to snipe that one away as he works his way towards that second completed item in the Leandries. And that's a good talking point then to say that, Limus also matches the 2-item power. He's got the static, he's got the Rage Blades, and this Kaiser is absolutely an issue now.
Yeah, and I would say the Ground Zero members are online. If not, the whole team is at their, major power spikes you are seeing right now. Whereas, Ion still need a Mirror Matter to come forward for that call. He still need him to the edge on the Jhin. We are seeing the lock hit on the support this time, so it's really nice to be able to deal with the Karthus ult that's going to be coming out. But We're not seeing those major item spikes coming out, but we are seeing a teleport coming forward, Skimmy.
Here's Doraemon with the flank. He does have the flash. He's looking for the target. Instantly pounces onto Lemus, who holds his claims for just a second there, wondering if it needed to be used or not. They'll turn it around, and Doraemon is that lamb to slaughter. He is the first one on the chopping block, but that's a disgusting Strangleform. What is that knock-up? All corralled into one big spot, and the Requiem to take at least one to the grave with them.
And the fourth shot does land, isn't going to do much damage just because you do not have that Infinity Edge in your inventory yet. But what an engage from Hex Splash and Coley, doing so much damage there. Fido staying around a bit too long. Almost falls down there, but Lemus
says it's my time to shine. I really got zoned out from that fight from the get-go. Does he die as a result? No, the supercharge is out. Jovi with the flash! And he claims it! And I tell you what, if you could already vote for a MVP, I mean, Jovi really is trying to do this all on his own.
Shut down, Skimmy. Jovi is having, I would say the series of his career so far in both these games. Even though the first one was a loss, tried his best. And in the second game, doesn't have those power spikes yet, but he's doing so much. He's going to stay in this pit, try to finish this dragon off.
No way. Oh my god, I saw 65 HP in my heart. Flooded for a second, thinking there's no way. Curex steals on the Leona. Inside the bush they go. Fido says you can jump. I can jump too. Surprise, surprise. Have your second dragon, but we'll take two instead.
This is, once again, the classic Fido. Using his TP, finds those cleanup kills. Going to be able to get himself the Infinity Edge on that reset, thanks to that now. But Manamune being completed for Jovi. We're not seeing the rest of the two irons coming after the rest of his team yet, but they are winning these fights with nice engages, so Doraemon does have the ult here.
He certainly does, and he's going to have to use it because he needed HP. Comes in clutch at the very last second. Oh no, Fido, he's jumped in early. He does get the kill, but Hex Flash is there, but Arel does literally 0 damage. So what can he do but stand there and say, team, where are you? And they're not to be found, Tally. They are simply not there.
And his team is absolutely nowhere to be found, Simi, because they are dead right now. So TP coming out of Jovi does not have the flash, going to walk right into a correct stun.
Let's see then what Jovi can do. He buffers that one quite nicely on the Zenith Blade, not to connect him on that TP, just a fraction too early. Hex Flash eventually dies. Schoenfire limps away in 25 HP. It's a crime. It's illegal. Fido has dashed the wrong way, right into the firing lines of this cool kit, and now the Requiem is there.
Oh, he's
Hang
gone.
on! Oh, it was 8 HP, but the double burn item's just too much to get past.
I thought for sure he was going to live, but wow, so much damage coming out of this card for Skimmy, and this item's being completed for his entire team. Even though these fights are looking pretty even, the gold lead is saying otherwise, as Tian taking down another tower in the mid lane. He's going to walk this one off as well.
He's been a split-pushing demon all series long, though, hasn't he? If it's the Lee Sin, if it's the Volley Bear, you guys are fighting. I'm just simply winning the game by pushing out lanes and taking towers. And now, 20 minutes in, it's a 10k lead.
And this is what Ground Zero is just so good at, Skimmy. A lot of these fights are being traded evenly, right? But the Waves are always pushing for their team. They're always making sure the camps are dead before anything happens. Schoenfire is always clearing camps, stealing away camps when other people show on the map. So there's just gold being taken already and nothing to really be denied when these fights happen. And this is the power of the Volley Bear in the mid lane when he gets that initial stun. Powers up those auto attacks. He just has no cooldowns.
Flash was burnt. Did you see it? Because I certainly did at the very last second. He flashed and he died in midair. The claws traveled through space and time. Oh, that feels like a crime to watch right there, but here we go again. I mean, it's a case of coming out of that replay, 6 stacks in the Dark Seal, a Rabadons to rub salt in the wounds. This Carfist is at true damage levels.
Does not have the Requiem quite yet. It's going to be about 20 to 30 seconds for that one is off cooldown, and it's going to do absolutely criminal damage to the Ion side. They do have the Locket this time, so there's going to be some damage they can mitigate, but when this one does go on cooldown, expect Schoenfire to call engage for Kurak right now.
Let's see then where they draw their line in the sand as they get pushed further and further back towards their base to Ion. Their defensive line of vision really quite limited. That cheeky one by the Baron Pit itself, nicely found by observers. That to be denied as well. And
have to fight
pretty much near on spawn. The Baron is being looked at. It's going to get taken. And what can Ion do to turn this one around? Nowhere near enough in range to make sure that a flip were to take place. Hex Flash engages, finds a 2-man lockdown with that Mega Storm, but will be the first one to fall on down as a result. They're going to turn their attention to Jovi, and no matter how strong he is, he's the second casualty in this affair. It could just be a very clean ace at this point. Yes, they've lost Schoenfire, but it's just reset City. And 22 minutes in, it's an ace, and it's looking like the game is being rested to bed.
And what an easy Baron take from Ground Zero. They recognize Cole is out of position, does not have a champion who can get to the pit easily without, the gap closes. Zyron, he has flash to be able to steal that Baron, so easy pick up from them. Schoenfire falls down, is the main target for the team, but he has the Requiem. He throws that one out and he does pretty much the entire enemy's team health bars, takes them out. and it's going to be an easy push for them to be able to take this game, Skinny.
Incredibly quick way to close out this series in a best-of-3 fashion. That will be the clean sweep 2-0 done on the day for Ground Zero as they continue this undefeated streak. And I'm sure the question for a lot of people is, will it ever run out?
I think there was, signs of weakness this game from Ground Zero, right? We saw that there was kills being traded, them getting caught out of position in these fights. So obviously not an insanely clean performance that we have seen from them in week past, but a very easy win for them, and they were pretty much uncontested. They did not have to show any of their hidden cards yet, and they're going to go into their next series with pretty much everything up their sleeve still.
That they certainly do. Yes, there's a little bit of craziness from Tien to try and get himself maybe a bit more entertained after spending an entire split of playing the same champions, but either way, very clean, done and dusted, 2-0. Focus on your next matchup. Focus on winning that one to get yourself back to PCS where you belong. As for Ion, commiserations for them. They swept in with that top 4 position, and it's resulted in a very heavy-handed defeat, but they still have the lower bracket to run it back on, and it's a nice rematch up against the Direwolves. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.